Riot actually suing NetEase. So another like last week we talked about NetEase, I think in the context of Blizzard, if you remember, where they lost the the rights or that deal for that distribution deal for China between Activision Blizzard and NetEase essentially fell apart. And now Riot is suing NetEase. And the headline here is Riot Games suing NetEase claims Hyperfront copies Valorant. The subheadline, League of Legends firm seeks to shut down mobile shooter and requests substantial changes. So according to this, Riot Games filed multiple lawsuits against NetEase. Obviously, this game that they're claiming infringes on the copyright of Valorant. It filed suits in the UK, Germany, Brazil, Singapore. And in its filing, Riot claims that development of Hyperfront began in March of 2020, long after Valorant had already been launched. So it's interesting because I think NetEase doesn't seem to be making many friends here, right? Like the deal with Activision Blizzard falls apart. Now Riot Games is suing them. I'm curious internally, like what's the play with NetEase? Do they just not care? Is the Chinese market so big for them that, having other friends, call it, in the industry isn't a big deal? But they seem to be pushing away any potential partners on just about every front. And I'm curious, let's ask the same question I asked with the last two. Does this one have any legs? Does this have any teeth, this lawsuit? And what is Riot trying to get out of this, right? Is it stopping the game? Is it getting dollars out of them? Like, what's the purpose of this lawsuit? I'll just put on screen, if you're watching this, unfortunately, if you're listening to this, you can't, but like some of the similarities between the two are I mean, it's sort of obvious. I'm putting up a screenshot of, two characters from these games, but your thoughts, guys, on this one?
Oh, this is a smoking gun right here. Both have mysterious ninja-like stealth characters. Who would have thought that no one else could come up with a mysterious ninja-like stealth character besides Riot? Yeah, I don't know about the merits of this. I mean, I noticed in the article as you were scrolling through that Riot is also suing another Chinese developer, Moonton, for copying their League of Legends game to a game called Mobile Legends Bang Bang, which I know is like a massive. I think we've talked about it before in the podcast.
We talked about that story,
like being like the number one like mobile title out there, or something like, or PC title, which is insane. I don't know like where they're planning to sue. There's not exactly strong IP rights in China, so like, what are they looking to get out of this? I know NetEase is a publicly traded company and listed like in the US, so maybe there's some more jurisdiction, but I think they're within their right to try to protect their IP. And I made the joke about the slide you put up there, but if they're creating clones of of games, they are within their right to kind of protect the IP. So I think versus the last story, this has a lot more legs in terms of, I think, it being a reasonable lawsuit.
Can I just give you guys my tinfoil hat theory on this, which is, and let me tie it to the story we talked about last week, which was the deal falling apart with Activision Blizzard. Is NetEase maybe shifting their business model to just knocking off Western games? And the reason they blew up the deal with Activision Blizzard is because they have in the works knockoffs of like Diablo, World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, right? Like this is all just in the works.
So I mean, oh, sorry, Lindsay, go for it.
No, go ahead first.
I love that idea. I think it's really clever and funny. To me, though, it's like, what does NetEase get out of knocking off all these companies? Presumably, they can be brought to justice. I mean, it's not what Riot's getting out of the lawsuit. It's what is NetEase getting out of violating this IP? There's going to be a cease and desist. There's going to be a shutting down of the game. There's going to be a disgorgement of profits. And then they lose all of those users and all of that money. So what are they really getting out of here, if not, I guess, limited data on user behavior and emails, which that's not worth a multi-million-dollar lawsuit from, other publicly traded companies, especially like Jeff mentioned, which I didn't realize, if they're also, if they have numerous international corporate entities that are publicly filed or not. So, if this was just a limited Chinese company that could never be brought to justice and they're kind of just doing it as a slap in the face, that's one thing. But if they have international assets, they risk losing a lot. So I just don't know what NetEase gets out of this. If they lose, if Riot
Really, they
is,
think
and it
they're
does
gonna get
look a
away
lot.
with it.
They think they're going to get away with it, but I mean, you just put up the picture of Omen versus the NetEase character, and I know Jeff made fun of it, but it looks pretty egregious to me. Maybe I'm biased because everyone knows I'm a fan of what Riot does, but this is like a slap in the face on an international scale. This isn't, there are multiple lawsuits here. One, by the way, I'm not super familiar with how things are done against different international jurisdictions like that. But however, when you're in the United States and maybe there's a federal filing or a criminal filing versus a civil filing, if you're in Superior Court or all these different jurisdictions that we have, there's typically a lot of judges don't want to step on each other's toes. And what typically happens, what you see is judges kind of waiting, letting the higher court or the more prevalent court take the lead on it, and then everyone else following suit. Again, probably different internationally, and so it sounds like we need another legal episode with some more experts here that are more capable than I am. I don't know what they get out of it, Paul. Either they think that it's not a ripoff, or there's some benefit to them where even shutting down the game and losing all the profits, they're capturing some type of valuable information or data that's making it worthwhile.
Is there any numbers about how successful this game is? Like, was it a smashing hit for NetEase?
I don't remember there being numbers in the article. I'm looking. No, it said there wasn't anything in the article on specific numbers. It did say, though, that Riot called on the courts to order the shutdown of the game and requested substantial, in quotes, damages, although the company did not specify a figure. So, like, there's not even a number around what these damages are, which I would assume would be tied to how much money Hyperfront has made, basically. What I did want to add, because Christian asked it, did anything happen with the lawsuit where they were suing the people that made the carbon copy of Wild Rift? I think you're thinking of the League of Legends copy, that Mobile Legends Bang Bang, which was also a Chinese developer, Moontent, as Jeff mentioned. And what was interesting, and it was mentioned in this article, that was dismissed by a U.S. court just last month, and because they ruled that the dispute should be settled in China, which definitely plays. If that's what happens here with NetEase, that's definitely going to play, I would think, in NetEase's hands, right? I mean, that would spell. Although the irony is, Riot's basically a Chinese company, also, right? Like, they're owned by Tencent. So I don't know if this is just also Chinese, big Chinese companies fighting with each other, right? This could be sort of a proxy war between the big Chinese companies. All right, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to add one quick thing. I thought the note about the number of places that they filed this lawsuit and the request for substantial damages, I thought just might be kind of a signal to other companies that, hey, don't try this. It's not worth your time and effort. That's also why I asked about the amount that they had made, because, for example, if NetEase had made, $10 billion off of this, then it actually is worth their time and effort, and Riot's legal response should reflect that. But my thought is that NetEase probably didn't make a huge profit off of this, and Riot is trying to clean house and basically show anyone else, good luck ripping us off.
Yeah, or make an example of it, right? Like, to dissuade people from trying this again, or in another way.